French words, ça tourne, ok, c'est bon.
Silence, but there's like horns. I'm sorry. Within identity crisis and social media and the internet, it is such a fragile place and a hard place to be in. So I feel for my generation. I also feel for my sister who's 10 years old. It's a lot of pressure. It's too much for a person to digest. And if anything, I think it should be the most, like one of the top priorities is helping the mind.
You speak a little French or not?
I wish I could, but I barely could speak Spanish.
You pick up phrases, right?
Yeah.
Bonjour Selena Gomez, bonjour Zoe Saldana. Merci d'être ici. I'm wondering, how much did you know of Jacques Audiard before this movie, Emilia Perez?
A lot.
A lot?
You know, I've been watching his films since I was a teenager. From Read My Lips, The Beat My Heart Skipped, Rust and Bone. He never ceased to surprise me. Just when you think, you go, okay, this is his thing, like this filmmaker, this is what he's gonna do. Then his next project is completely different.
Yeah.
And there's always this aspect of humanity in the most unconventional places, unimaginable places. So Emilia was like that.
What does French cinema mean to you? Selena, do you watch French cinema?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, growing up, my mother was so into cinema, but not just, you know, French. It was everything growing up. But I found, me and my mom watched Jacques' film maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Rust and Bone first, and then The Prophet, and then all of these. All I needed to truly see was one, to know that this man was brilliant, but to see how he wanted to tackle this part was beautiful.
So Emilia Perez tells the story of a famous gangster who becomes the woman he always was. Did you know a lot about transidentity before this movie?
I mean, you're around it and we try to understand as much as possible, but not as much as Carla Sofia, you know, and she was very generous with sharing her personal journey and contributing a lot of her personal experience into these roles. And Jacques was so supportive of it, you know. So I feel like I got to learn a lot more.
Yes, I definitely learned so much. But I have a lot of friends in the LGBTQ community and in the trans community. So to me, I hope it's this way eventually.
Yeah.
It's everybody, we're all the same.
You know, it's pretty interesting because with the huge increase of transphobic crimes all over the world, to what extent would you say a movie can educate people and change things eventually?
It amplifies not just a message, but it amplifies the existence of a community. And by doing that, then people are able to just have more layered feelings and thoughts about it. And hopefully those thoughts and those feelings are positive and supportive and inclusive.
Emilia Perez is a musical, and it beautifully reinvents the genre. When you think of this huge tradition of cinema, what musical immediately comes to mind, Selena? I know you're a singer. What are your favorites?
Oh, probably Les Mis or Chicago.
Yeah.
Because when I was little, that was the first musical I saw was Chicago, actually.
Yeah.
Probably not age appropriate, but I did love it. And ever since then, I've loved the idea of it, but I never thought I'd be in one.
Did you watch musicals before, Zoe?
Oh yes, yeah. As a New Yorker, I feel like when you're going to school, in elementary school in New York, you'll have those trips to go see Cats, and you know, and as you grow older, it's tickets to go see Les Mis. So if you pass a certain test and you ace that test, your teacher sometimes will give you tickets from the school, and then you go. But then when I was a teenager, I used to sign up every Friday for these raffle tickets, and I would see shows like Miss Saigon and Rent and Avenue Q. So yeah, like definitely, you know, musicals is a very big part of my life.
At the end of the day, what was the biggest challenge for you guys as actors in this movie?
I think for me, personally, the Spanish was hard, but I truly felt like, you know, I did my best, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm so grateful.
It's very emotional to see you speak Spanish, too.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Thank you.
What about you?
For me, I just collaborating with filmmakers like Jacques Audiard just makes me feel like I'm moving in the right direction, and I'm still moving. You know, as women, sometimes you can get in your own way by believing these tropes that have existed for a very long time, where a woman's youth is what defines her success, and the moment that youth is gone, the moment she becomes a mother and other hyphenated sort of titles, then she's no longer sexy or relevant, and sometimes it may not just be society, it may just be your own thoughts.
Yeah,
you can get in
true.
your own way. So I'm not done growing. I'm not done making art. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And having the attention and the visibility from someone like Jacques Audiard makes me feel like, oh, stop being in here, get out of the closet.
Yeah.
And believe, he's believing in you. And I get to be a part of something so special.
Yeah.
And the women characters are pretty interesting, very complex,
Yes.
very fragile. Selena is so rare and so beautiful to see a character that is so fragile. It made me think of your documentary, My Mind and Me, that recounts 6 difficult years of your life.
Yes.
And I think it was very brave. How important was it for you to show also this part of you?
Jacques believed in me. He didn't know my documentary. He didn't know me. He believed in me as an actress, and I think that's so special because I am in the public eye, but he saw me for just Selena.
Yeah.
Sure. But you know, our audience here is very young, and I'm wondering why do you think talking about mental health issues is important, especially to a younger generation today?
Personally, I think it's crucial. I think that within identity crisis and social media and the internet, it is such a fragile place and a hard place to be in. So I feel for my generation. I also feel for my sister who's 10 years old. It's a lot of pressure. It's too much for a person to digest. And if anything, I think it should be the most, like one of the top priorities is helping the mind.
And it's pretty interesting, Zoe, because we didn't talk about that 10 years ago. It's changing.
We didn't, and there is great, it's like what I tell my children now, there is great strength in vulnerability. It's like, I'm trying to teach them that when you feel vulnerable, when you feel pain, it's very easy to lean into anger because you feel like by you putting up your shield that you're going to protect yourself.
Yeah.
There's much more bravery in saying, ow, you hurt me, please don't do that. And by speaking up, you're also growing as a person and you're able to communicate your needs. I think it's important because nobody really reads minds, and unless somebody goes, I need help, you know, you'd be surprised at how many people around you in your community can step up. And my heart just goes out to those that don't have any members in any community that can help, but there are places that they can go to, there are, you know, numbers that they can call.
Yes.
Of course, as Hollywood actors, you have a lot of influence. You have a lot of followers, of fans. Would you say it's pretty important, it's your role also as artists to speak out politically, even politically?
Sometimes, you know, when you feel confidently educated on what you're saying, then you can be that tool, you know, that adds great visibility to a conversation. Other times, just because we're public figures, people lose sight that what we're doing most of the time is also actively listening.
Sure.
There's a lot that we also have to learn by others that are more experienced, you know, speaking in a field. And I feel like it's also important to you know, exercise your privacy so that we can always find alignment with what is aligned with our core values and not be judged by any choices that we may make. Obviously, you know, we are predominantly decent people that are always wishing for peace and equality.
But I think it's brave that you were never afraid, Selena, for instance, to encourage your followers and fans to vote, to actively participate in social life.
I think, well, as far as me wanting to be vocal and to use my platform, for example, when it became time for voting, I wanted my generation to vote. It wasn't so much about my personal belief, it was that I needed everyone to be a part of this conversation, and I wanted to learn as well. I'm still learning. So I think it's a big responsibility, but I'm very honored to have a platform to share anything that I can.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank
It was great.
Thank you.